what's going on.
And that constant coaching is something that we lack currently, so it's going to take a lot of extra effort on our part, which it doesn't make it impossible. It just makes it harder, and we just have to work harder for it.
Yeah, I think really one of the best things that I can recommend is that if you guys do go in this direction, the person who I would have doing it should be watching a lot of organized play, just to see sort of how compositions work, how teams react to stuff, and sort of just get an idea for what organized play looks like from the third person.
That me.
Okay, so we're starting on Ilios.
I believe so. I think that's where we started. Oh, he just jumped
4v4
like 4 minutes ahead.
This map was super scuffed.
So right now, Jaharo and Stricken are tryouts. Stricken is no longer a tryout though. He one night standed us.
Who's Stricken here?
Stricken is not in on this map.
Yeah, and this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He will be on the next map if we get to that one though.
Spectate who we were trying out, so like all of it, I was just watching Jahara's perspective.
Okay.
We can still get it.
Occasionally I swapped a third person. I didn't really expect you to use my VOD for this.
No, I wasn't recording myself. I wasn't thinking of reviewing this one, but I figured the most recent would be the better one to do.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going goats.
I just wish this map didn't exist.
Why?
Wait, I'm actually playing.
I love
this
you,
map.
Lewis.
I'm
I forgot to
offended.
play this map.
Okay, so right off the bat, the thing that I always tell my shot caller here is like right now at this point, you need to be thinking about where this comp needs to go, what you're trying to push, and how you're going to win the first fight. Because there's no room for hesitation on goats. You literally just need to smash into them. And so you need to be thinking about like, okay, what if they run counter goats? What's that going to look like? What if they just run like mirror? What do we do then? And those are really the two breakdowns. Like in the current meta, that's usually what it breaks down to. It's like either they run some kind of classic dive here, they run goats, or they run some sort of like wonky ass triple DPS. But that's less effective, I think. So it's less likely.
I also said hyperdash once when I wasn't on a team because we didn't have any ults. We were just like, okay, just hyperdash it.
No
Like, what is that?
You guys look like you're running
I've
a
never heard you say that.
5v7 right now.
Oh, there it is.
insane.
What the heck?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, you should have your own
please-
volume control.
He was on the highest, but
That's fine.
Yeah, for some reason you
Yeah,
need
dude,
to
I
change it.
hacked them.
Yeah.
I'm on their team now.
It starts off muted without indicating that it's muted.
Seconds left, you go to point.
Yeah.
Okay, follow me, Lewin. I'm pinning for some reason.
Nice.
very cool.
Okay, so I'm gonna be looking to see how you guys like separate their Rhine if you're running into a ghost matchup. Okay, so we're going into cage here. Alright, let's see what you guys do.
I got a D.Va on high ground. Okay. Fully Philius.
Okay, so if they're running, okay, so first of all, it looks like they're running probably Pharah as well. If I see the Mercy up here, but with Winston, the thing you want to be looking as Zarya to bubble is probably your Zen, because that's the best target here. And so like that's the thing. If they're running dive goats or any equivalent to that, you need to be shutting him down consistently, and that that requires shield bash, that requires bubbles, that requires saving your armor pack, all of those things for the primary target, because they're just going to apply enough pressure in there, and if they pick your Zen, then they're just slowly going to whittle you down. The other thing to keep in mind here is that if they're running pharmacy, you guys are on a timer, and so you need to be ending these fights extremely quickly.
I'm on the monkey.
Okay, yeah, so your Zen goes down.
Monkey's weak.
No DM,
Okay, so someone else is low. Someone else was like 1 HP over here, and we missed a bubble on them.
Yeah, I kind of just.
Corner's playing.
I'm on D.Va.
Oh, is the D.Va mech? Or D.Va mech or your
D.Va?
Brig? I'm not sure which. Okay, this fight's pretty much over. You should probably just be... Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're farming for grab chars, that's fine, but... And you... Oh, yeah, you didn't get the D-suit, unfortunately. That's unlucky. Okay. Okay, so now this composition is going to be really hard to retake with. Just because once they establish... Sorry?
He swaps to Sombra.
Who does?
Weasley.
No.
Jaharo does.
Eventually.
Okay,
Oh.
okay.
Oh yeah, Jahar does. Yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah. I don't know if Sombra really makes this a lot better for you guys. I think so. The like Sombra goats, I think, is like a decent counter for like regular goats.
Yeah, I think
But the
just Winston Goats is probably the best here.
I think Winston Goats is good. I also think that like you guys are kind of fine with what you have. Like it's
Yeah.
okay as long as you just force the fight early enough before the enemy team builds up barrage or EMP. I mean that's really what you guys need to be worrying about here. And so you just need to like. Chances are you're going to be forcing the fight to point. Like that's the thing you guys need to realize. Like you guys need to take the fight to them as quickly as possible. Goats is a comp that likes to fight on point, and so you need, sort of the big picture here is that's where the fight's going to happen, and who's always contesting point on their comp. Who
The
contests
Diva.
Tanks, yeah, I
Diva.
guess normally Diva.
Diva. So your goal is probably going to be to hard focus the Diva and desuit her, and then just try and snowball the fight from there. That's likely going to be your win condition. But the most important thing is finding a route onto the point that keeps you guys from getting booped. And like I said, ending the fight early. So the issue here with switching to Sombra, well, why don't you guys tell me? So like, what do you see a drawback of switching to Sombra? So it's like you gain a little bit of flexibility. You can hack targets that jump in on you. You can maybe bring the Pharah out of the sky with Sombra. So there are some clear advantages. And also having EMP is always sort of a win condition, which is nice. But what do you give up with that?
Well, Diva, you give up the combo. Well, I guess you can like get some combos with EMP as well, like EMP Shatter, but you lose the Grav Bomb, you lose Matrix, which counters the Pharah pretty well.
Yeah. And I think that's really the most important thing here, that having the Matrix not just to counter the heavy damage that's going to be steadily coming from Pharah, but just to, I mean, you literally can counter her barrage with the ability.
Yeah.
So there's that advantage.
What are we doing?
Someone. One of you, someone.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Oh, Jaharo on the flex.
I feel super bad making him play Sombra on his first map of tryouts.
I mean, if you guys are running Sombra a lot from your off tank, like, I think it's fair to. Okay, so they already have it.
Real quick, why are you? Okay,
I need heals,
we're up here, right? The Brig and the Zarya were up on the high ground. I imagine to touch the Pharah, like to try and zone her out a little bit.
It's like a thing that we've been seeing more from high level Zarya play and goats is to off angle. So I think the Zarya taking the high ground like this is probably fine, especially against dive, because it's like you don't really have to worry about that like frontline linear pressure from a Reinhardt, and so like you're kind of just looking to apply pressure onto anything that you can, and Zarya kind of gets the opportunity to do that from the high ground.
The only issue I had was that I didn't know that we were going high ground. I didn't
But
know
the
we were
Zarya
taking
can go high
offense.
ground. The Zarya can go high ground, and you guys can go low ground. That's totally fine.
I was
Sure,
high
but
ground, Felius. We if you back it up a little bit, we did call high ground, and we called it like once or twice, and then we backed up, got distracted by something, and then went low ground. And
Okay, so
I went high ground, and saw their Diva and completely tunnel visioned on it.
We can go high ground.
Right here.
Okay, I heard the high ground call.
We can go high ground. We can go high ground.
Yeah.
Oops.
Did
I
I?
just forgot there were stairs.
Oh, I did.
Stairs.
Stairs.
You started top.
I made a dumb
Okay,
comment
so-
about stairs.
Everyone's there except your
Sombra.
Ryan.
I think
Right.
Ryan's behind, but then
Ryan's
he's
below you.
like fall off.
They get
I think he drops. He drops.
yeah, they get knocked off or booped off or fall off.
He's
something.
just taking cover, yeah, from the bridge or
Yeah.
with the bridge, which is smart.
Well, thank you.
And I'm guessing your Diva caught a lot of that, which is why you didn't get destroyed.
No, it was.
Don't have
you
Diva at
didn't.
this
Yeah, you
point.
didn't have a Sombra. Right. Okay, so yeah, you lose Ryan. Yeah, without your Ryan, this is kind of a dead push
I have,
anyways. You should just be dying here.
Crap.
I have primal rage.
And the other thing is, like, if you are basically at like 85% ult charge with Grav, you can kind of just die.
Just get it from
the next fight. Yeah, the next push. So don't worry too much about bubbling yourself, because the stagger is more hurtful than not having the full ult charge there.
Yeah, they have tank ults. Do they have EMP or do they just use it?
They probably have. I'd say 80 to have.
Okay, so what I'm hearing here is a list of the ults that they have, which is really good, but there's no real idea of how we resolve dealing with the EMP. And that's a problem to me, because right now you guys are just going to walk in and hope, and you're like, okay, they're going to use this on us. I hope it works out okay. Like, that's why you need a person who's responsible for this, because you need someone who in the back of their mind is like, I can't, like, that's not acceptable to just be walking into this. You need to at least have some counterplay here. Like, do you just take indoor pathing, like taking right side in the one of the corridors and just going onto point, so that they either EMP us there or directly on point, and the Pharah gets less value. Like, that's the kind of stuff that's one option. But the most important thing is that you guys just have something. You just need some response to this, even if you don't have an ult to be dropping.
I really think we just drop this. We have ults.
Wait, one more.
No, we can just go main.
Go mid. Go, yeah, go right side.
Oh, right side, okay.
Okay, so you're taking right side. That's good.
Be careful, boops, yeah.
Alright.
Fully kill you.
And EMP probably happens right about here.
On the diva.
Ah.
Yeah,
You're lucky that Diva didn't matrix the Grav.
If she's actually
may or may not have.
The grab got no value
anyway, which is kind of a
Yeah,
I don't know. What I was doing here.
DC'd, yeah.
Can you just pause it for her? If she's actually
May or may not. I think when I press tab.
There's a monkey. There's a monkey.
Yeah, get the monkey, get the monkey.
Okay.
Get this monkey on your zone.
I'm on him.
Don't push that monkey, dude.
Okay, so we have people, like, you guys are kind of disjointed here. We've got like kind of like two people on point. We've got people backing up at the same time. To me, this is a little bit problematic, just because it suggests that you guys are not super clear on whether you're disengaging or engaging. And Goats is a composition that needs to do all of those things together, or one of those things together. So if you guys are pushing to point, you need to push to point. If you're backing off, you need to all back off. But none of you get value on your own. Except maybe high charge Zarya.
Monkey very weak.
Okay, so you're pushing back out.
Pharah's like right above the exit.
Versus one. Versus dead.
Nice. Where's the Pharah go? Is he right above us?
Wait longer before you use your bubbles here.
No.
We can EMP shadow here.
You need to, so the way you should be using projected barrier is you should be waiting for a clear commitment of damage, and not preemptively try to block something, unless it's something that can one shot. And even then, it's a low value cooldown usage that sometimes gets punished anyways.
Sorry for making you immediately play Sombra, but I don't think.
And yeah, just spam right clicks here. Sorry, I'm like a Zarya is one of my favorite heroes, so I'm gonna try to make this not a Zarya Vod.
They're probably gonna EMP barrage or bomb, yeah.
Okay, so we have some idea. I mean, really what you guys need. So first of all, and this is something that should be happening regardless of what you guys decide to do shot calling wise, you need someone who's keeping track of the ults. And that doesn't necessarily have to be someone who has perfect knowledge of every ult that they have, but literally someone who just starts with a baseline estimate and is like, what else do we think they have? I don't know how much damage their Pharah was doing. How close do we think they are to barrage? Just so at the end of the day, before this fight happens, you can say they have X, Y, and Z ults, and that's what our team should expect them to roll into this fight with. Like, that needs to happen. So someone needs to be assigned that.
We're kind of split up right now. Let's just regroup.
Yeah, I'm on point.
EMP?
I can't. It's my speed. I'm coming back out.
I can shield this soon.
That was a nice play by you guys. You kind of all got indoors, and it was kind of like what I was talking about, right? That was like one of the options. You sort of play on point and just force the fight there. Goats does really well there, and Pharah doesn't get a whole ton of value. That's like the hardest thing about running their composition. If they lose one of the pushes, retaking with Pharah is super difficult because the other team can just fight on point. And so that's like, you know, if you're thinking sort of like what your main shot caller should be trying to think about in terms of how to play this, that's something that you should be logging into your mind. Like, okay, that's how this composition does well against spammy comps or against Pharah comps on this map. Bubble probably not worth it there.
Monkey.
Who else? Lucio? Yeah, I didn't. Mercy?
It's okay, just because you're trying to
energy
get...
set, so I mean...
Yeah, you're farming charge and you're getting closer to grab, which is good. Just make sure that you're not going to need it.
Except, what? Didn't they use Valk as well? Yeah.
Okay, what's up? We just live. Just try and live.
Okay, so you're reloading too much as well.
Yeah.
Right-clicked and then reload. So general tip, just make sure you're getting, if they're far distance, make sure you get the 4 shots before you reload, and always make sure you right-click at the end of a magazine before you reload.
I'm
going into this.
Preemptive bubble there is too early.
Okay. I'm on monkey. Backing up.
Also, you're bubbling yourself too early.
Back up the point again.
Yeah.
Because you're behind your Reinhardt.
I'm on monkey. Just kind of like on autopilot this whole like scrim.
So this composition, something you guys need to be concerned about is the fact that it's trying to focus damage. I know that they have a Pharah that does spam damage, but what you're really worried about is that their Pharah creates opportunities, right? So by dealing even damage to everyone on your team, they get everybody, you know, like let's say the Pharah does 150 damage to everybody, chances are the best target then becomes your Zenyatta. So you just need to be identifying the pressure points to your composition and play around that. You should be looking to protect that because that's really the only weakness of your composition. Like, they farm ults on you guys and then they just, you know, like out pressure you. But really what you're worried about is just losing somebody because they're kind of a dive comp still.
Backing up. Monkey is weak on the left.
He's low.
Nice, too.
Nice, you got a pick.
Okay, I'm shooting Diva.
And I like that. I honestly like you guys are playing on point. You're not super confident that I mean, I personally would have pushed out. So when they're running a Mercy, and especially with the fact that you guys gave her space, what's gonna happen? Like when someone dies in a Mercy comp.
You're just gonna get res unless you're pressuring the corpse.
Yeah, so she's gonna get res, and that gives you guys opportunities to just destroy everything else because they have like no healing now. And even still, Mercy's not a lot of healing to begin with. Like your composition out heals them. Their composition out damages yours, but if it's a ground fight, you guys are gonna win that because your collective damage is going to outpressure whatever they have because they don't have enough sustain. Mercy being taken out of that for them means they basically have nothing. So you guys should see a kill in a Mercy comp as an opportunity to look for pressure. Like that's what Ghost does. You guys need to be looking, who do we jump? You should always be looking, who can we jump here? Who can we just like run on and gangbang?
I got hacked, I can't believe. Monkey.
So as soon as you saw that Mercy Guardian Angel over to the body, either A, you should have been on her or on someone else.
I grabbed the...
I think the Coalescence might have been a little bit of an
I got moved off.
overcommitment.
Oh wait, no I didn't. I'm on Diva.
What's that air straight?
Decent track.
It was last fight.
Fourth hacked again?
He's dead.
Point, no heck.
We grabbed the monkey, and I wanted to make sure we killed him before the grav ended, and so I threw an orb, a healing orb onto point, and I coalesced because it was last fight.
The thing I'm worried about is that the Pharah sees you coalescing and just focuses you down. Because she dies last in this fight, she's still alive somewhere. And so like if you know you're safe, I think that's an option. I think it's an option, but you open yourself to a lot of vulnerabilities when you lose your fade like that.
I watched her use conk like 2 seconds before the grav, so I knew there was conk.
Okay, I still think it's a risk.
Yeah.
Lucio coming point. Wait, Lucio one.
Monkey's out.
There is Pharah behind. I'm gonna kill her with shield, dude.
He's slow, he's very low.
You gotta turn your shield to hit her, you can't walk. Monkey low. Get the monkey. Mercy. Monkey's 1.
Okay. I'm on monkey. I'm on monkey. Side. I'm on Diva.
Yeah, you guys are just nice.
Nice grab. Coming back for shadow soon. You're gonna live.
Oh my god.
Oh, they're all solo. They're all solo.
Okay, so let's see what else happens here.
I'm just monkey.
If he hadn't beat it, that would have been the highlight of the century, Weasley.
Oh yeah, for sure. monkey. Also, I got booped and I screwed up that second right click because of it.
Okay, so I don't know where everybody is here. That's part of the issue.
Monkey.
I don't see like I see Zarya on point.
We don't really have like. I got hacked. I can't believe this map. We just know to get monkey. And once we're on point, I guess we're not good at like sticking to it or sticking together. Just in general.
Yeah, and so this is where target calling comes in. So I said, someone needs to be in charge of what ultimates they have. Someone else should be the bottom, like the buck stops at them. They make the final say. If you don't like the target they're calling, then you guys talk about it after the game. But you need one person who can tell people what to do and have that authority. Because your comp needs to focus fire, and I don't see it.
Monkey.
So Lucio's here. Someone is here. I can't tell. Your Rhine, I think, is probably behind over there.
Well, I'm on my way back from spawn on the right.
Can you draw with red? The purple's really light right now. I can't see it that well.
There. And I think someone's over here. You said someone's coming back from spawn.
Yeah, Ryan is to the left over there, I believe.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So that's your Ryan, that's your Lucio.
I'm on the right, not on the left. Like I'm in the hallway in our spawn on the right side of the point.
How did you get over there?
Because I died, and I'm on my way back from our spawn.
Okay.
What? No, you're literally right there to the left.
Ryan is right. You were right here.
What
Back it up like 5 seconds.
Oh, it's before the grab.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I can't see, man.
I'm with the Ryan and Zarya.
Okay, so it's the three of you.
I have absolutely no clue where I am. I might be the one coming back from spawn.
I'm just.
And you're
I grabbed the.
Yep.
Okay, so you guys are kind of like. You've got. Okay, so yeah, so Brig is here, Lucio is here, and then the three of you are here. So.
Who's missing? Sombra?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
so
translocated to get a health pack.
Yeah, okay, so these guys, you guys are
terrible positioning.
Not super in position, but what I'd really like to see is the team just fighting on point. So really, I'd like to see everyone fighting where you guys are. But what the most important thing is just that you guys are all playing together. Okay, so we get 2 kills from the grab. There's still someone over here. There, and there. Okay, so how is this not a... Okay, so you've got... That was the Lucio, Mercy, and Farah here. Or no, it wasn't the Lucio. Lucio's dead.
Sombra.
I got booped off. Oh wait, no I didn't.
Sombra.
I'm on Diva.
Was because the Mercy got like the value res she needed to with the Farah who had ultimate from behind. And that's a really big swing play there.
Yeah, that's why I was saying like the Coalescence play was risky because you know that they still have Barrage, and so like saving it to like just fade off point and coalesce into that is another option because you guys aren't running Diva, right? And that's like the big issue here. Like that's why you guys need someone keeping track of the ults, because you need to know, end of the day, we need to end this fight before Barrage comes out, otherwise we're probably gonna lose. Yeah, okay, so you guys are still fragging now.
Yeah, it's because we won this fight. There were 2 alive at the end of it, and then the Mercy rezzed the Farah.
But there's like 2 people, and then like 2 more come back from spawn.
The Farah kills enough of us that when the tanks get back, they stall it out.
So Mercy Valks.
He jukes me. Yeah, the Mercy Valked to my left, and then reses the Farah behind the point.
I think this is just a focus fire issue primarily.
Yeah.
That and not keeping track of their ultimates, because it's like if you know Lucio's coming with beat and he's on point by himself, that's like a free team fight.
Point. Wait, Lucio won. Lucio won. Almost hit him too.
I'm gonna kill Lucio, dude.
Or was that thing? That was the enemy. He's slow.
Yeah,
He's
so
very low.
we lose 2.
Dude, you gotta turn your shield.
They're basically back at full strength at this point. Yeah, okay, so now we're down this fight.
I'm on monkey. I'm on monkey. Side. I'm on Diva.
I don't like this grab.
Yeah, I think I just wasn't paying enough attention. Oh, they're all solo. They're all solo.
They
have
used beat for some reason, so.
I mean, it was probably last fight anyway.
It becomes last fight here because now you guys are one down.
Just like stabilize for a second. You have a.
Now you're one down because they lost their Pharah, but you lose Brig.
Damn.
And you're down Zarya still.
3 seconds. 3 seconds. 3 seconds. Holy Dahara, I'm on the monkey. Lucio is one.
That Lucio is one. Also, we didn't focus the Mercy, who was like rezzing there. That should be like Mercy should never.
Fair on point.
Mercy should never get a ground res off against this goat's comp.
On point. Fair. Nice. Wait,
Sombra.
Okay, now Diva, please.
Do you guys frag out?
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are pog.
I'm slamming monkey. He's one.
Legends. Okay, cool. Nice. Well, good job. I mean, you guys played. You beat a comp that is literally designed to counter yours, so good job. I would just.
Hey, in contenders, that's what they're running to counter that. Or
What?
Not contenders, an owl.
Their comp, what, the Pharah Mercy?
The Pharah Sombra.
Oh, yeah.
Running the Sombra Moira.
We're also not contenders players, or not owl
Moira.
players.
That's actually something that I've been noticing too. They also use Moira against triple DPS. If you guys ever feel like they're using spam damage comps against goats, use Moira, and the idea there is to play for the early coalescence. That becomes your win condition because you just use their spam damage against them.
Moira has also always had, like, out of the 3 ideal goats comps, the Ana, Zen, and Moira was always the pick that you played against 2-2-2 and stuff because she had the most just bulk healing for the team to just heal through spam damage. And then if they had bursts and isolated bursts on targets, then you played the Ana, and if it was goats, you played Zen because Zen goats is best. But
that was really unfortunate for them. Also,
but yeah, okay. So just to summarize, the big issues that I saw, are, I mean, mostly related to your comm structure and like just the general responsibility structure, I guess, or however you want to talk about it, whoever's being assigned roles, or just the fact that maybe you guys don't have that yet. I think that's really hurting you guys because you can just tell by the conversation that we're having right now, right? It's like I'm telling you guys, like, focus fire is an issue. It's like we are kind of mispositioned there, and it's like, well, what do we really do about that? Like practically, how do we resolve that issue?
practice.
But what are you going to be doing in practice? All looking at each other and making sure you're moving together, or like having someone call where you're rotating?
I mean, when it comes to us being like just disjointed and being everywhere and not in one unified place, doing dry runs on maps will help that, and then just practicing that inside of actual compositions. Maybe just looking towards one person and just planting yourself behind that one person constantly will help. Instead of trying to look for everyone to try and unify everyone, we can look at one person and rally behind them.
Right. So I mean, basically, you're getting a de facto person to anchor your team's positioning. It's like, why not just have that person, in charge of where the team goes, where the team rotates, just so that you guys, don't have to be looking at each other. But, that's kind of my point. That bottom line, it's going to boil down to, like, you guys following or coordinating with each other. And, you can't all be doing it with all of each other, right? Because, practice helps, but there's always going to be curveballs that get thrown at you guys. And you're gonna need to have to adapt and rotate as a
what
unit.
DPS do we want?
Are we gonna run triple deeps?
I don't know. I don't think so.
If we're trying out an off tank, let's not run triple leaps.
Let's just meek it so he can.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. That was the one thing that I was talking about. So that was general stuff. Other thing is just in goats, focus fire is definitely an issue that I'm seeing so far.
Pop off.
V8 speed is out.
Oh, you go left side. So okay, so you see, not this stairs, but the mega room, but a little bit before the mega room, you know?
Okay, I like that. You guys are talking like initial pathing. That's really important.
Okay, we're going.
Yeah, we had a really good idea of how to play
They have
this
fair
map
as well.
before,
They might have a widow.
like,
and
where
all.
Orisa positions.
Okay.
We were
Okay,
also
stop
playing
right.
less coordinated teams then. That was back when we were playing against mainly Diamond.
I can't really block that.
Yeah,
Can't
but
block that.
I mean,
I'm shooting the monkey.
Spot, I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you're.
We're down 2.
Hanzo gets
Cut out.
picked. Yeah.
I can't really block that. Can't block that.
I'm shooting
There's,
the
like,
monkey.
no ground
Shield
targets
boys.
for me except the tanks.
Yeah, so we had people pushing up pretty far here onto point, and then the Winston just rolled back over the top of you guys. They
Mhm.
just kind of went through. They just kind of like we separated ourselves here, and let them get value.
I can't really block that.
See, so we can see Orisa Shield is here.
Mm-hmm.
If they're running a Farracomp and we know that they have dive tanks, I think you guys should probably be holding back more as a unit, and getting more shield value. And it's like you can hold back at that corner in that direction,
Yeah.
and just kind
I
of
think
like
we just
fight out of there.
didn't expect them to meet us so early, so he just threw the shield on point because he assumed we'd be able to get to point and just set up there.
Yeah, but I should like think ahead about where I use my shield because the cooldown's so long.
Exactly. Especially just main tanking in general, that's something you're going to want to be doing, is just sort of thinking, where's the fight going to wind up, even if you're not on Orisa.
It's hard, man. I'm sorry.
It's super hard. No, I feel for you.
I'm shooting the monkey.
And I think also your Pharah should be looking to concussion as early as possible if this is what they're running. You know, it's like you just want to get them off of you guys, so it's just, you know, try and look for a value concussion.
I don't really know where
I'm shooting the monkey.
here, like just the tanks to get away from us.
Yeah, just like, you know, put one here to try and send the Winston this way. Or you can just try and knock him off of high ground into your team if it's earlier in the fight and you haven't lost anybody. So it's like, you know, you put one up here to knock him down.
Yeah, and I think as soon as I see him jump in, I should be looking for that.
Exactly. Because like like as soon as he's out of his jump, like that's, you guys just, if someone should be looking for that and then call it out and just hard focus it, especially if you take him off high ground.
We're down 2.
It's lost.
Ours half. Just kidding.
We need to either we need to either counter dive or something else. We go 3.
Almost killed that
Counter
Winston.
dive, I think. Right.
Almost.
Keep the DPS and then I swap on P. But even.
There's COE.
Why not Ash?
No, I said keep. Jahara, quickly with this.
Gotta be careful here about staggering yourselves, but it looks like they're not.
We have the far.
Their monkey's just sitting close.
The Fair's not consistently hitting air. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna be. Oh, they're resing. They're in a bubble.
Yeah, and this is part of the. I mean, it's fine because now they don't have res. But this is, you know, I'm sure you guys understand. Like, it's like, you know, just we're not fully regrouped here, so we can't commit to anything.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, that's some value for sure.
Oh my.
I was gonna say the one risk there is that you go in, try and
Get the
punish
fair,
the
get the
res,
fair.
they
Fair
get the res
has
off,
some
and
heals
then
from the
now
left.
you're out of position.
Monkey.
And yeah,
Sorry.
I just didn't see the. I guess I didn't really think about her being able to res at the bottom because I forgot that Farah's body just falls to the ground.
We're running the same thing.
It's like I didn't even see that res coming.
Well, I think you were looking for it. You were watching it.
I knew she was gonna try
Yeah.
it, but I thought that the body would still be like in the air. So
I'm just gonna get my mech back.
What level team is this that you're playing against?
This is a
So I go.
3.7.
Pretty coordinated for a 3.7.
yeah, they really are. I noticed that during this whole scrim, their tanks are really coordinated with their DPS. The whole team in general.
That's a good team to be playing against.
Then you need to play for PL.
I wanna
Okay,
I
so-
wanna play these games again.
Yeah.
These guys participate in the ExPandable Open, I
Probably
believe.
have barrage on the left.
Oh, nice.
I have no clue.
Okay, so you guys get EMP. Okay, hold on. I need to listen.
Play Farah into this.
I don't know what their team name is. I just know I was friends with them from a tournament that we did. I think it was the first ExPandable Open.
Okay, so we've gone into this fight with no real idea of what they have or what they're going to be using on us. We're just trying to get out the door here. And so this happens with DeSync all the time. And what I tell them is, at this point, you can't expect anything other than just to get crapped on here, because we're just walking in to let them use stuff on us.
Kiting.
They probably have barrage on the left.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And if you have someone saying they have EMP, they're going to drop it here. They also have barrage, most likely. You know, you guys probably are going to approach the bomb differently.
Okay.
He was on a mech. I got fair.
Surprising value from that barrage, given the fact that the Devo's like looking at you the whole time.
Yeah, I like 180 because I knew he was about to be in my face, but then I demeched her anyway, and I was like, might as well shoot the fair while I'm at it.
It was almost like she was like, you wouldn't.
Yeah, they just else.
Oh. Mercy weak, Mercy weak.
Okay.
Can we back that up?
Did you knock her into the pit?
Nope. He hit her midair.
Oh. That's
Mercy weak, Mercy weak.
I think the monkey gave you the speed needed to get that kill.
Yeah, I like.
Oh.
Monkey, that I got booped there.
That was sick.
We playing this game in particular is extremely comical to me because nothing interesting happens to me.
On the Lucio too.
Making it voice.
Feels bad, dude.
Okay, so this was just you guys getting. I mean, you guys are just uncoordinated here. I didn't really hear much of an idea of like sort of what you guys were gonna do. You know, it's like how are we actually gonna get them to open up and let us onto point? And I think that really hurts you guys, just because, you know, we kind of just like walk down main, like let's see what happens. And I would have liked to see a little bit more planning in terms of sort of like how you guys are going to deal with the ults that they drop onto you. Also, we had a lot of half pushes, like where you guys weren't fully grouped. And I think that just kind of extends the fight out more. And, you know, it's not so much that it's a bad idea if you're playing it from no risk. It's just the idea, or what I'm sorry, even if you don't lose, it's not like that still doesn't necessarily mean it's good. The real problem is just that they're taking so well that,
Like,
and they're taking so little risk, and you're taking so much risk that the payoff is just way disproportionately not in your favor. The other thing is, especially if you're a tank doing this or someone with a relatively high HP pool, like if you get chunked because you're poking with them and your team is grouped up and ready to go, you have to wait now. And it delays your push and gives them an opportunity to just jump on you guys for free. And so that's another thing about poking that I would caution you guys about.
Oh.
What? Knocked all of them off.
Are they just gonna run the same thing?
Bro duck.
Then we just
Pick, comp, maybe.
Not even 100% sure who it is.
Pretty sick. Okay, so what are you guys running here? Dive
Wanted
guns?
to do double sniper?
No.
Somebody.
So it's kind of like a semi-double sniper thingy.
Do we run this? I think Quig switches to Widow, no?
I do at some point.
Yeah, eventually.
I think it's. I don't think it's. I do it on runes though.
Oh, I don't know.
So can you guys give me an idea of what's the idea here with this composition? What's the goal here?
In putting it together, my thought process was like,
But can you just like hit play until the start? Because I'm not sure if this is the exact comp we run. We might switch up the healers or something.
Double snipers.
Sure.
Felius goes Ryan and then says stay Diva.
I don't know why.
I'm gonna stick with the Ash
My
for
thought process
range,
was
and then
I wanted to
can
try.
also
I was
help
getting
with
blown
this
up by their DPS anyway. Again, now that I realize like the reasons why aren't what I thought at the time.
Yeah, we're on Ryan. Sorry, I think.
My thought process was like you send the Diva to go fight the Pharah along with the Ash pressure, and my job as the tank is to just kind of like play slow and live and wait for Ash and Hanzo to kill everything.
Okay.
That was my thought process, but I don't think it was very wise to think that way.
Okay, so you're sensing that they're running a lot of like pharmacy comps, and so you're thinking, okay, well, we're gonna put snipers into our stuff and see sort of what we can do with them. This is a good map for it. and you're sort of thinking, okay, well, Diva provides maybe a little bit better support to our hit scans if we're getting super spammed by their comp. I get that. What about Moira here? Curious what we're, sort of what the thought process is for Moira. We're thinking just early coalescence farming. It makes sense on goats because you guys are so clustered together that you get value out of healing orb. But here you're running Diva and double snipers, and the whole point of running double snipers is that you guys cover different spaces with your sight lines. So
I really thought we weren't gonna run Ryan Diva.
I don't think that has anything to do with the question though.
But no, but like I expected a Ryan Zarya, and if you were to go dive, I would have gone Ana.
Yeah, I just didn't say swap to Mercy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, what do you guys think about Mercy here?
It would be better than Moira, in my opinion. I just didn't say it.
Probably.
In the time I was like coming up with the comp, and I was like, go, 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 like get there.
Do you guys have fixed compositions for every map?
Nope.
Do you have somewhat fixed compositions for every map?
Yeah. We definitely have a few like ideas that we run every once in a while on like certain maps. Like I can't think of examples off the top of my head. We had a thing with like a few interesting sim strats that we would do on like Hanamura and what else? Freaking Anubis. I don't know. But that's all I can think of.
Okay.
We have set defenses.
Okay.
Yeah.
On like payload maps and
like Hanamura and stuff here.
Okay. I would recommend trying to put in writing somewhere the compositions that you guys have on each map so that you can start to sort of like test iterations. For us, that's been super helpful because the idea is like, okay, well, we have a composition that we objectively think does well here, just given what we think the meta looks like right now, and what we expect to perform best in general. And then, you're always going to be changing it given sort of what the enemy team is playing. You guys are sort of doing that now. But the idea there is to sort of build on a first idea, and then you constantly just kind of let that evolve over time as the meta shifts. And that allows you guys to make small variations and keep the changes that are good and keep track of those things. Because honestly, if I'm like, when the first team I coached, we didn't have something for that. And I was constantly just forgetting, like, it's like, well, okay, well, we've been scrimming like 4 days this week and we've done Ilios like 3 times and we've done all these other maps, like, and then everything gets jumbled up in my mind. And you don't have the time to sit down and think, okay, well, here's the best comp for this map. Separate that out from all the other stuff. I have a tool that can help you guys with that. It's like just like a spreadsheet thing. And so it's like every sheet is a map. And then it has your comp on like all the points, attack, defense, all that stuff. If you guys are interested, I can send that your way after this.
We're not trying to win the call. We're trying to
but it's up to you guys. I mean, for me, it just helps me clarify my own thoughts, and I'm thinking, oh, we used to run Baptiste here. Like, what do we want to change based on the past couple scripts?
Didn't you make something like that, Mimic? Widow top left kind of thing with Calm. I see her. I had thought Diva weak. Monkey's on the right. Sure. I'm on Monkey. Monkey half. Oh, he got. Widow's main half on the right.
Any heals, please?
So one thing, if Hanzo, you want to be putting Sonic Arrow on the Widow if you're not already trying to do that, just so that your Ashe can be, and as actually your whole team can just sort of be keeping an eye out.
Here.
So what are they running? They're running Widow and
Widow
I don't
Genji
know
dives.
Widow Genji, okay.
Yeah, they're down Widow.
Ana Lucio.
Now that they have heroes, we can go dive if we want to, but I don't know. I think we stay away.
Also, I don't know if this is relevant, but I gotta leave. So I'll just.
I Widow Sonic in the.
We'll probably be done at the hour
because
I want to keep the video not too long so I can upload it to YouTube.
Okay. Yeah, I also I have it on my stream so I can send that VOD to you guys.
Dope. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so first of all, so before we go any further, then, do you guys want me to look at a different map?
Yeah.
Watch the end of.
Yeah. Let's watch. What? Who ran on Li Shang?
It was
Both the tryouts?
Yeah.
Let's not do that
yeah,
one.
that's right.
Let's do.
No, I just want him to compliment my nano timing.
And Felix just wants to comment on
There
the
was King's
C9.
Row, there
Let's
was
do
Zambani.
King's Row because I believe we didn't run. Numbani would be a good one. First or offense Numbani.
No, not Nimbani. Not Nimbani. It's getting reworked.
It's not.
What?
He lied to you. It was a joke, and it was a meme, and you fell for it.
Nimbani's
It doesn't matter if Numbani's getting reworked. We're not looking at our map. We're looking at the team play.
We're looking at our team play and our.
What about
combo and
Eichenwald?
stuff.
I think
Gotta make a
we.
choice.
I think we.
Eichenwald.
Go look at Eichenwald.
We
Okay.
ran.
We kind of
Eichenwald?
struggled.
Eichenwald.
Yeah,
We always struggle on
15
Eichenwald
minutes of
anyway.
Eichenwald. That's fine.
Okay. Let me find it.
I think it was like the fourth map.
It is an hour. Wait, let me look and see exactly when it starts.
You can
An
play
hour and
it.
30 minutes. Wait, no,
Oh my
it's further than that.
god, I hate.
It's an hour and 48 minutes, and somewhere around there is when it starts.
I'm sorry. I cannot use QGG without complaining out loud.
No, I get it. I
Technology is
absolutely do.
impossible.
I was
Okay,
a little
okay.
annoyed when their COO messaged me. He's like, "You should try out a really cool product." I'm like,
Hold on.
"It's fucked up."
So,
It's like we've patched it since then. I'm like,
have the
I've
ability
used it yesterday.
Shatter.
Okay, so we're attacking. We are running goats.
Saw that crazy ass fire
sorry,
circuit.
Okay, so for my
actually had
team,
a good
usually what I
life.
tell them to think about when they're coming out of spawn door is first of all, identify what matchup they're going into and play accordingly. Because you need to play goats on attack here
That's funny.
basically in
Okay, they're
two
running
ways.
Tracer Genji.
Well,
uh,
not really.
let's go
I mean,
goats.
so it's a little bit different when you're dealing with goats. Like you kind of just have to play enemy position. But if they're running bunker, you have to take a specific route and you need to go in. If they're playing a spam comp with like Pharaoh Ash or Pharaoh
Espanol.
Creed, you need to figure out how to play that too. If they run something spammy and slow, you need to just fucking run down their front line and rush them. Like just like I was saying on Ilios. On bunker, you need to take far right route because they're probably holding the house on top left,
Bro,
and
I'm
you
not
just
even kidding.
just bum
Look at
rush them
this
from
shit.
behind.
Karma's wild, dude.
Alright, dude, you get to go Stomber, and I'm gonna.
Diva.
Here comes
Goodness.
number one mistake.
Streaming.
Okay, click comes over here.
Okay, so they are.
That's all I
It
do.
looks like goats.
Just have ghosts.
Alright, I have bubble.
Okay, you're looking. Okay, their Rhine is sort of out of position.
W.
Bubble me, bubble me, bubble me.
Okay, bubble you.
Okay, so they use the projected barrier on their Rhine. You guys should be calling that.
I had to pack you.
I'm on the break.
Yeah, you guys should be punishing this Rhine because I think the Brig used E and I don't think they have bubble. When you guys are running goats, that's what you want to be looking for. At this level, it's all about mistakes. So you're looking for premature bubble usage and premature Brig armor pack usage because you slap a Discord on that target and it's gonna die instantly if you guys have either of those resources left. And the thing to keep in mind with goats is that if you have an HP lead, you can literally just stand there and trade damage and you'll win the fight.
On the break, break's weak. Okay, I'm on Ryan. I'm breaking his shield. Break. Nice, Diva.
Nice job.
Bring left turn, bring left.
Ball you, Philius.
All me.
It's okay.
Break it. Wait, Zen. Never mind.
And man,
I'm getting
Shadow
out. I'm
left shift into oblivion.
break. Nice, Diva.
No fight.
Oh, that was unnecessary.
Yeah. Oh,
Wait, did he charge in?
Bring left turn.
Yep.
He charged the
4.2K
payload, yeah.
hit
Just
the
got
chest
see.
melted.
I couldn't.
Yeah, it happened so fast because he was like full HP, literally full HP.
Nice, Diva.
No fight.
Yeet, dead.
4.2K
shit.
hit
Oh my.
scan,
Ball
or
That's-
Ryan.
you,
That's how
Philius.
powerful Focus Fire is here.
And I
It's okay.
Break it. Wait, Zen. Never mind. I'm getting out. Okay, I'm on the break. See,
Yeah,
I don't
this is
think
so
he's won,
unfortunate
but,
because you guys could have easily won this after you killed their Rhine if you just started sequentially moving on to targets.
Yep.
There's a break in our spawn.
But left shift.
Wait. Oh my bad. I'm sorry. Where is he? Right side. So
I
we
feel you.
wait. We're gonna bait their teammate bubble on the right, and then we W their right.
Personally,
Oh.
against Zen goats, I never want to
I'll shoot
charge
at him.
as a Rhine. I'm terrified of charging because I know I'm gonna take a right click to
Yeah,
the
bait
face.
that. We're
Toots,
gonna
real
bait
quick,
that teammate
I accidentally
bubble.
hit the button on the bottom and yoinked your controller, so you can have it
I
back.
can bubble you.
Oh,
Let's go left.
No,
I bubbled.
just clicking the button.
got it. Thank you. Okay, so wait. Let's see what.
Alright. I can bubble you.
Let's go left.
Okay, so you're. This is a super early personal. Okay, so wait, you walked out in front, took damage. You're trying to build early charge. This is okay.
Yeah,
that's okay.
We're gonna bait that teammate bubble.
That max value.
No, it's
I can
fine.
bubble you.
You want to cycle bubbles early.
I bubbled.
Tell me Ryan.
Okay, I'm on Ryan.
I'm in there. I don't have DM anymore.
Get Diva right side.
Yeah, Diva's out of position. She's pretty weak.
Okay,
that was pretty
like,
nutty.
Okay, I don't have bubble. Huge.
1 more minute, Dad.
I grabbed.
Oh.
No, I died.
Bend the grab.
Nice boop.
Huge. Get the Ryan.
Okay, so the target calling, I like what you guys were doing. You're looking for people who are out of position. That's really good. Keep doing that. Don't be afraid to change targets too. If something like, because you guys caught the brig, change Discord orb to her. Most important thing is just keeping Discord on the target that's being called.
I died.
Bend the grab.
Nice.
The reaction grabs are decent when you can keep them from touching you, because the idea there is that you cut the momentum out of their focus fire because it's goats and they need to be touching you. But when we counter grab like this, we put ourselves into a tricky position because chances are they had a positional advantage to begin with, and that's why they grabbed first. So when you're just trading and bringing them into the same space, it's not always the same as drawing even.
I grabbed. No, I died.
So just keep that in mind.
Nice boop.
Huge. Get the Ryan. Get the grab a little bit further away, if possible.
I mean, ideally, when you guys know you both have grav, you should be looking like your team's highest priority should be to get the grav first. It's kind of like EMP, like when you have 2 EMPs, you want to get the EMP first.
Get the Ryan. He said no.
Just because like that Zarya's grab becomes irrelevant.
Diva's trying to get
your
us.
grab.
Diva's trying to jump off the map.
For the same reason that we didn't get a ton of value out of the counter grab, but like I mean, you guys got the combo.
I moved him to the side.
I'm going monkey.
We got the swing.
Yeah, I rarely see that.
Everybody used every single ult right there, by the way.
I think so, yeah.
Overwatch.
Yeah, you guys just kind of
outplayed
them there.
That they were winning
71% than he just did.
They grabbed, they bombed, they shattered, they trans, they beat, they rallied. Yeah.
Big brain.
You guys just,
now we see what we counter grab.
You used beat at the right time.
I used bubble. The Ryan's dropping.
Okay, this Ryan should be insta dead.
What? I thought they shattered last night.
Wait,
this is
I'm dead.
really
Ryan's
unfortunate.
That
Ryan should have been.
A lot of what happened on this point is the brig just.
No, Zarya's behind. Left side.
I'm gonna go back to right.
That was a lot of this point.
Yeah, there was brig in our backline this whole game, and that.
Yeah, that shouldn't be happening. Your team needs to like solidify the front line.
Yeah,
and respond
she's with the
to
team
people
now.
walking through your team. Like no one should ever be able to walk into your team for free. In fact, no one should be anywhere near your team for free. You should be able to kill anything.
Like 30.
Any solo target that walks up to you guys.
Okay.
So I would definitely.
I use bubble. Careful.
Unlucky bubble.
Yeah, my bad. Twig's too fat.
Yeah. You might want to play with your sensitivity on Zarya there for the bubble.
I think I have it on like 40, but Twig walked directly in front of me.
I literally did walk directly in front of there.
No,
just unfortunate.
I'm a Zarya. I'm a reformed Zarya one trick, so I'm used to that happening.
I turned like all those kind of sensitivities.
Okay, yeah. I was trying to bubble you there, but
nano
Twig walked in
sensitivity and stuff like that.
We're here now.
We can boop shot her.
Okay, this is
I'm at 81.
fine.
No fire strike. That was good.
I don't like
I believe.
Unlucky.
I'm on the Ryan.
Oh my fucking! I couldn't DM it. I have grabs. I can't help you there.
The Diva should have died. I'm big dumb.
I pinned. Oh no.
I have grabs.
You bubbled Brig here, I think.
I pinned.
Wait, who did we bubble?
I'm on the Ryan.
Bubble the Ryan going into this.
No, but we have bubble.
I can't help you there.
Okay, you got Brig.
I pinned.
So it's really important there that you put that on someone who doesn't have protection, and it's literally just your Lucio.
And he was behind the wall anyway, I think.
Yeah, I was.
He was. He's up to the left right there.
So
Right
dumb.
here.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's like your Zen is trancing, your Brig has a shield, and unless your Ryan got shield bashed, you don't have to worry about him either. I mean, I guess it would just be D.Va and Lucio, and Lucio's really the one you need to worry about.
So I can hit Q.
Yeah, I couldn't have bubbled Lucio there. I think I just like figured that I'd bubble Twig in case he messed up his shield angle. I don't know.
I think I was one of the few people in your line of sight there to bubble.
Yeah.
My point is you should be preemptively positioning so that you can get that bubble.
Also, Felius.
I have grab.
Can you pause it? That is the wrong mentality. You said, and I can just hit Q. Don't ult to remake.
No, I meant to hit Q as baby D.Va. I know not to ult to remake. I've played D.Va for years.
Yeah, just get out.
You're too late on that.
I want my charge, please.
No. Lucky.
It's easy.
Yes, have a break. That was a break. Never mind.
Guiltless die.
That sound.
I call it the pterodactyl, bro. Look out.
Right,
scrum
eat
block
it when
near
you
you.
feel. You actually, okay. Grab under. I can throw it behind. Do your thing.
I'll just
Every time I see a Zarya self bubble
right here.
A Ryan Fire Strike, I usually sit down and show the math of it, but I won't do that because we don't have time. But don't do that.
Bully Ryan.
Yeah.
Don't do what?
D.Va on the left.
Don't never bubble a Fire Strike.
For a Fire Strike.
Oh
Because
yeah.
by the time you get your bubble back, you're literally back at 0 energy.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Bully
Ryan. D.Va on the left. D.Va on the left. He's on my.
Nice.
I'm on the Ryan. I can bubble in 2.
Nice. This is great.
Lucio.
Now, is it the attack you wanted me to look at, or is it the defense? Because we're running low on time.
Both of them were kind of ass.
Okay. I mean, Streets looks fine here.
That's a first.
No.
I can bubble you.
It's not fine
now
yet.
it doesn't look fine.
I don't have bubble.
If your Rhine is going up, Zarya should be going up.
He didn't tell us anything.
Here's the thing. So,
but watch, you need to be going with him regardless. Like, he shouldn't have to tell you.
He wanted to.
I tried.
I
don't have bubble. Nice.
Charged in as they were coming out the door.
Gotcha.
Yeah, like he was sitting on cart, shielding on cart, and then hit
I'm
shift
backing out a
later.
bit. Careful, Felix.
Still though, I mean, like your Rhine is gonna make misplays. People on your team are gonna make misplays. You need to adapt to it.
No, I get ya.
Yeah, the play. Yeah.
I'm saying that's why we were out of position here. We were trying to follow through with him, but it was so last minute.
Man was a weird champ German man.
Break. He's dead.
Okay, you lose your supports here. This is a reset. You guys shouldn't be extending this fight.
I'm trying to get out behind.
Okay, so what I want you guys to do when you're down in a goats matchup is go into them harder. A, you potentially bait out cooldowns. B, you are dealing a lot of damage and getting closer to your ults. And C, you're resetting even faster because they just literally have to deal with you or they're gonna die.
Okay.
And if they don't deal with you, you turn the fight back. But it's so much faster than backing out using cooldowns defensively and then just getting staggered.
Dude, what the? I'm going castle.
We do successfully get out and regroup.
Are we good?
Oh lord.
Mission impossible.
Regrouping. I don't see right now. Okay, right now.
Okay, your Lucio got back.
I have grab.
Yeah, having Lucio definitely helps. And they should have won that last
Yeah,
time.
they're
They
gonna
should have
have
kept pushing you guys.
I can't eat it.
I think I saw Ryan and just decided to back up.
Wait, just wait.
Probably assumed he'd pressed left.
Hi, Ryan.
Nice.
So I use bubbles.
I'm dead.
For the bomb grab combo.
Nice. That's winnable. Keep on target. Break.
You also, I mean, really, if you don't have beat, you can't really expect to live through it anyways.
Really tempted to go for it, Twig, but
Unless you get mega lucky.
Unless you somehow have full shield to block it.
Oh, you're saying, yeah, you still pushed it.
I can bubble you in just a second.
Yeah.
You're dead.
That.
I grabbed something probably.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
It was the wall above the platform on high ground.
Yeah, I got booped up now.
That's where you
Yeah, we don't.
I'm sorry, I love you, Izzy. I'll hug you at
It's
length.
the hero.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
Go ahead.
I think the fact that we sort of like we lost our 2 supports on streets, it took us way too long to reset, and you just have to realize when they're going to use combo, you need to just, if you don't have beat, you need to bank on a recontest, and you need to make sure you have enough time for that. So plan backwards, like work backwards from how much time is remaining on the clock. Because I think that was really the only thing that hurt you guys. You just weren't keeping track of how much time was left, and you just weren't thinking about how many fights there was time left for.
Right. I 100% didn't realize that we were in the middle of last fight when we were walking back. When you're like, "Oh, I'm tempted to go for it," I would have told you to just go for it because we weren't touching in time, and they were dying.
Yeah, you guys need to have someone calling last fight.
Right.
We should totally assign that next scrim.
Large health pool.
So why don't we end it there since it's 10 o'clock and it's the children's bedtimes.
Shut up, Twig.
And,
sounds good.
I thank you so much for coming. If you do want to post that video that you had of the leadership or whatever, there's a channel that you can see that's educational content. That'd be a great place for it. And thank you so much for popping in and doing this for us.
Sure, yeah.
Who the fuck misspelt it?
It's been like
intentional?
literally since it was created.
That's
I
not
pointed
intentional?
it out a couple of times.
I figured that was intentional.
Educate.
No, don't change it.
Okay, I won't change it. I wonder if when I made it, the other people who could edit it at the time changed it, because there were other captains involved when I was making these channels.
Wait, what channel?
You just misspelled it.
Or I just misspelled it.